Welcome to Mindful Moments. Nourish your mind on the go. This video uses AI narration to present our original book analysis. Today, we're diving deep into Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. This book is really something special. You've got this giant Pacific octopus named Marcellus. And he can actually read. He lives in an aquarium. And he's got these really witty, cynical observations about humans.
It makes you think about animal intelligence in a whole new way. Like, how much are we missing just because we assume other species aren't as smart?
Right. And the way Van Pelt blends Marcellus's thoughts with the human stories, it's just brilliant. Like, Marcellus is fascinated by human fingerprints, but he can't understand why we can't predict the weather.
It's like he's saying, come on, people, it's right there.
Exactly.
And then you've got Tova Sullivan, this older woman who works at the aquarium. She's grieving the loss of her son, Eric, and she forms this really unexpected bond with Marcellus.
It's such a tender connection. And it shows how powerful companionship can be, even between different species. She even confides in him about her grief, about the mystery surrounding Eric's death.
And there's this one part where Tova falls and hurts herself, and one of Marcellus's 3 hearts actually stutters.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Makes you wonder about the connections we can have with other creatures.
Yeah, it really does. And then we have Cameron Cassmore. He's searching for his father, and he ends up working at the aquarium. After, well, a lot of misadventures.
He's going through a lot, that's for sure. But it seems like all these challenges are pushing him towards self-discovery.
I think you're right. He's being forced to face his past and figure out who he is. And then there's that class ring, remember? The one that shows up with the lost items.
The one Karen thinks might belong to his dad.
Yeah, but it actually belonged to Eric and Marcellus. With his amazing perceptiveness, understands how important that ring is.
So he escapes from his tank, and he actually retrieves Eric's ring from the ocean floor, where it had been all these years.
That's right.
Wow. An octopus who can read, escape, and go on underwater treasure hunts. What drives him to do all that?
Well, it seems like it's a mix of empathy and a desire to help Tova. Remember, he saw her grief, her longing for answers, and he has this unique ability to see things that humans miss.
So we've got Marcellus, the mastermind octopus, Tova struggling with grief and looking for the truth, and Cameron trying to find his place in the world. This is quite a story, but before we move on to the next part of their journey, let's just keep going.
Sounds good to me. So we were talking about Marcellus retrieving that class ring. It's amazing how that one little thing ties everything together.
Like a symbol, connecting all the characters. And speaking of connections, Tova starts uncovering some pretty big ones herself as she digs deeper into Eric's death.
That moment at the grocery store, that's a turning point.
Oh, yeah. Overhearing that conversation about Daphne Cassmore, it gives her a glimmer of hope.
It's the missing piece she needed.
Finding out Eric was connected to someone named Cassmore, and then having Cameron show up, it's almost too much of a coincidence.
Makes you think about fate.
Definitely.
Well, Tova's searching for the truth. Cameron's struggling with his own identity. That meeting with Simon Brinks, the man he thought was his father, it really leaves him feeling lost.
I can imagine.
So he decides to just leave Sewell Bay.
Makes sense.
But then he has those breakdowns. First, the flat tire, and then the busted serpentine belt. It seems like more than just bad luck.
Yeah, like it's forcing him to slow down.
Exactly, to rethink things, and ultimately, to stay in Sewell Bay.
Interesting how those external events reflect his internal struggles.
He's literally broken down before he can move forward.
And through it all, we can't forget about Marcellus.
Oh, of course not.
He's not just watching.
No.
He saw a connection between Tova and Cameron.
Right.
He understood their shared grief.
He picked up on something the humans didn't.
And he decides to take matters into his own tentacles.
He escapes again.
Wow.
But this time it's not about food.
No.
He wants to bring the truth to light.
To connect Tova and Cameron. And he remembers seeing Cameron with the ring.
So he heads straight for the wolf eel exhibit.
This is so suspenseful. Marcellus risking everything for this tiny little ring.
He knows it's the key for Tova
to finding closure.
And somehow, he communicates this to Cameron.
An unspoken alliance.
They're speaking a language beyond words.
A language of empathy.
Marcellus is nearing the end of his life, and he entrusts Cameron with this final act of kindness.
Wow. And Cameron, despite everything he's going through, he steps up to help.
They're both searching for something. Connection. Meaning...
And they find a piece of that together.
Tova feels lost. She decides to sell her house and move into a retirement home. Cameron's still reeling from Simon Brinks. And Marcellus, his time is running out.
It's all coming to a head.
It is.
Will they find what they're looking for? Will the truth come out? What will happen to Marcellus?
All those questions
Yes.
will be answered in the final part of our deep dive.
Can't wait. Welcome back to our deep dive into Remarkably Bright Creatures. We left off with Tova packing up her life, Cameron reeling from the truth about Simon, and Marcellus, hoping his plan works. Things are about to get really emotional.
Oh, absolutely. It all comes down to Tova's last day at the aquarium. Her friends try to cheer her up with a farewell party, but she's heartbroken, ready to move into the retirement home.
It's like even the best intentions sometimes can't fix everything.
Exactly. But as she's saying goodbye to Marcellus, Cameron shows up.
Oh, wow.
He just found out about Simon Brink's not being his dad.
Yeah.
And he wants to return the ring. He thinks it belonged to Brink.
And that's when everything changes.
Tova sees that ring, and she knows right away. It's Eric's.
The ring Marcellus brought back.
Yes.
Wow. What a moment.
The ring connects everything. The past, Eric. The truth. The biggest revelation. Tova realizes Cameron is her grandson.
No way.
It's all there. Years of wondering. Finally over.
It really makes you believe in fate.
The way Van Pelt writes it, it's so powerful. The shock, the disbelief, the joy of finding family.
And Tova finally understands that Eric didn't abandon her.
That he wouldn't have left knowing about his child.
And the truth comes out. Eric's death. It wasn't suicide.
It was a tragic accident.
A youthful mistake.
Tova finds peace knowing that. Knowing that Cameron is Eric's legacy.
And Cameron, he finally finds where he belongs.
It's such a beautiful ending. It shows the strength of the human spirit and the healing tower of love.
They even take Marcellus back to the ocean.
A fitting tribute to the creature who brought them together.
It's like a reminder that sometimes the most unexpected heroes can touch our lives in the biggest ways.
Marcellus, the octopus who could read, understand our emotions, show empathy. It makes you question what other species are capable of.
Remarkably Bright Creatures is truly a special book. It shows us that connection can come from anywhere, that hope can exist even in the darkest times, and that life's journey often leads us right where we need to be.
If you want to experience this incredible story, we encourage you to get a copy. You can find a link to buy the book in the description below.
And be sure to subscribe to Mindful Moments. Nourish your mind on the go. For more great book discussions, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.